Memorial Stadium, a symbol on the prairie for athletic competition. Built in 1927, its Gothic Revival style is emblematic of strength, courage, and dominance. Two towers flank the grandstands. It's a fortress with presence and authority. Minneapolis architect Walter H. Wheeler designed the stadium. It was built to inspire athletic competition and honor those who gave their lives during World War I. More than 35,000 North Dakotans served in the war. 1,300 never returned home. 33 were from the University of North Dakota. Memorial Stadium served as the home for UND football from 1927 to 2000. 72 seasons were played on its field. Stories of success and stories of defeat echo from passionate fans who gathered to inspire their teams. Players became a symbol for the merger of mind and body, pushing through pain and enduring competition to reach a goal. Fans weathered the blistering heat and the frigid North Dakota winds. Like their teams, they never gave up. Memorial Stadium became a place of honor, sacrifice, spirit, and achievement. It served as the home for UND track teams. It welcomed North Dakota boys and girls for state track meets. It was the venue for the Special Olympics, and twice it welcomed competitors for the Prairie Rose Games. While we observe the passing of this monument, we also celebrate a new life. Memorial Village will rise on the shoulders of the giants who once occupied this space. The track and the field will remain, and the dreams of athletes will endure as they push the boundaries of excellence.
Welcome to the Memorial Stadium Recognition Ceremony. I'm Andrew Armacost, President of the University of North Dakota. Today, we're going to pay tribute to a monument that has been part of our community since 1927. Memorial Stadium was named to honor our third president, Webster Merrifield, and the UND service members who lost their lives during World War I. Their sacrifices had a profound impact on us, even today. The stadium served as a place for athletic events, community celebrations, and even the annual Malpractice Bowl. This event pitted UND's law students against medical students. With all these activities, Memorial Stadium served us well. The fundraising effort for the facility began in October 1925. Construction on the stadium started in April 1927. The first game was played on October 8th, that same year, when the stadium was dedicated. Many Grand Forks businesses closed for the afternoon to encourage attendance. A ticket for the game cost $1.50. The first nickel trophy game between UND and NDSU took place at Memorial Stadium in 1937. UND won 27-0. In what was to become one of the longest-running rivalries in the history of Division II football. UND's star athlete, Fritz Pollard Jr., for whom the High Performance Center will be named, played in this game, running for one touchdown and throwing for another. The full cost of the then-new stadium was around $200,000, paid for by donations from students, alumni, and friends of UND. Even in the early days of UND, philanthropy and the generosity of donors played a crucial role in moving the university forward. I'll take this opportunity to express my thanks and sincere gratitude to those who have been so gracious and visionary in advancing UND's mission. That is, to provide transformative learning, discovery, and community engagement opportunities for developing tomorrow's leaders. Memorial Stadium was dedicated to UND's third president, Webster Merrifield, and 33 UND service members who died in World War I. At the first football game to dedicate the stadium, the names of the deceased were read, and to honor them, taps was played. Today, taps will be played again as we retire the colors from Memorial Stadium. Having served in the Air Force for more than 30 years, I strongly believe it's important not to lose sight of the original intent of Memorial Stadium. This was to preserve the memory of UND service members who served, fought, and died during World War I. Following the Civil War, famed abolitionist and social reformer Henry Ward Beecher said of the war dead, "They hover as a cloud of witnesses above this nation." Memorial Stadium has its own cloud of witnesses who should never be forgotten because of the sacrifices they made. Although more than a century has passed since the end of World War I, it is important to recall the conditions under which young North Dakotans served their nation. Not only was a global war raging, but the world was also enveloped by a deadly pandemic, much as we are today with COVID-19. Back then, it was the Spanish flu pandemic from 1918 to 1919. It was first identified among U.S. military personnel. As many as 50 million people worldwide are believed to have died from the Spanish flu, 675,000 of them in the United States. When you read the biographies of those 33 UND service members who gave their lives serving our nation, you'll see that 15 of them were victims of the Spanish flu. 8 were killed in action. They included Lieutenant Colonel Fred E. Smith, who grew up in Grand Forks and graduated from UND in 1894. He was posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for attacking a German machine gun nest with his pistol. Although Smith was mortally wounded, his actions enabled the soldiers of his ambushed patrol to escape. Diseases such as tuberculosis, diphtheria, and pneumonia claimed 7 other UND soldiers in the military. There were also deadly accidents. Lieutenant Ralph Dryden, a pilot who hailed from Drayton, died while flight testing German aircraft in France. Later in our program, we will list the names of all the UND soldiers who gave their lives for our nation during World War I. And since Memorial Stadium was named to honor them, and former UND President Webster Merrifield, it is important for us to maintain their memory. Our commitment to preserving institutional history is strong. Buildings like Memorial Stadium are more than structures. They are memories. They are places where people come together to work as teams. To preserve this history, we recently removed the cornerstone from Memorial Stadium. We found evidence that suggested a time capsule could exist. Workers cut through the bricks that surrounded the stone. It was a meticulous procedure that took much longer than expected. When the stone was removed, a cavity was discovered. Inside the cavity, workers uncovered a copper box. It was sealed in the cornerstone on September 21st, 1927. What treasures will this snapshot in time uncover? What secrets will Memorial Stadium disclose? We'll reveal its contents later in our program. The UND football program has a rich history. Coaches like Jerry Olson, Roger Thomas, Dale Lennon, Chris Mussman, and Bubba Schweigert shaped young men to become more than just strong athletes. They emphasized academics, teamwork, ethics, and spirit. An unusual aspect of our football program is that many of our past coaches shared the same desk. In fact, some of them had no choice. The desk was so large, it was virtually impossible to remove it from the coach's office in Memorial Stadium. That desk is still there today.
I remember walking past the head coach's office all the time. It was always a little intimidating when you would go into the head coach's office to visit, the head coach. And, there was something about that office that made it seem pretty special.
That desk has been there a long time, and I have to believe that the office was built around it.
The University of North Dakota's version of the Resolute desk. I mean, how many guys sat behind that desk?
Gene Murphy was the head coach that I worked for there in '79 when we moved over. And I mean, somehow they got that desk up that narrow stairway or however.
Well, the head coach, when I came in as a freshman, was Gene Murphy. But I remember him sitting on that desk, telling me that drinking hot coffee in summer days actually cools you off. And I never did disagree with him.
My wife's an interior decorator, and so when we were reshuffling the office, we moved it like 2 feet, and it took like 5 of us to do that. That thing was so heavy.
So it was one of those where you only spend about 10 seconds on it thinking, okay, let's see if we can move this a bit, and it ain't moving, so we just left it there.
UND is that kind of a place. There's something, maybe the desk is part of that carries on. There's such a bond, a unity, a pride in the UND football. It is. I'm not just saying this because we're doing this now, but it has. It was like and is like no other place. It really is true.
Hi, I'm Bubba Schweigert, current head football coach at the University of North Dakota. What a special day as we celebrate Memorial Stadium. I've been asked to share a few memories. My first memory of Memorial Stadium goes way back to when I was in junior high. We made the trip to Grand Forks, and I grew up in a small town of 300 people, and coming up to watch a game, to see Memorial Stadium when you grow up in small town North Dakota, it's like somebody going to the LA Coliseum or Madison Square Garden. It's just hard to describe that this structure looks like that to a small town kid. And then to see Coach Olson, and Coach Murph was also part of that staff to lead the team out on the field. What a special day. I believe we defeated Morningside College 49-7 and got to watch Kasowski, Deutsch, Klebo, all these names that we heard of. But of course, my favorite memory was watching my older brother, number 17, run out onto the field. There were other memories too, and I was fortunate enough to be hired by Roger Thomas in 1989, and some of the games that stick out in my mind, of course, 1993, defeating North Dakota State to break a losing streak, and what an awesome day. I mean, this was goalposts being torn down, people rushing the stadium, the whole community. I believe it changed our university and community, how they felt about our football program again, and that was a really special day. But there were other memories too. The playoff game in the mid-90s versus Mankato, just very, very cold, and we had 5,000 people that showed up for that game, and that had to be the loudest 5,000 people that I've ever been a part of, and they played a factor in the game, defeating Mankato 52-24 to advance in the Division II playoffs. And another game that sticks out was the USD game late in the year. For some reason, we had a lightning storm, and I know at that time we had our film man was Dennis Borovich up in the cherry picker, and Roger Thomas, our head coach at the time, says, hey, we got to get Dennis down, and his brother was a current member of the team, and oh, coach, he'll take one for the team. So the Borovich family, great memories, all those players, along with family tradition and all that, just a special time. And then there were other things that stick out. The Stadium Rat reunion for the guys that lived in the stadium. We were here and they brought them back, and to see those former student athletes walk through the stadium and share the memories. Our current training room was the kitchen, and they had duties in the kitchen, and they had duties throughout the dorm, and they talked about being in their dorm room as the crowds would start filing in for afternoon games on Saturday. And just to see those guys get back together and share the memories about this special place was pretty awesome. And one of those guys As you heard mentioned earlier in the program, Fritz Pollard Jr. was also back, and to hear his story of how he came to Grand Forks and to be around a guy that won a medal in the 1936 Olympics was just an awesome experience. And that's something that really sticks out to me. And the stories could go on and on. Just a few others here that I remember. Jack Gray, one of our loyal fans, when we were on the coaching staff, every Sunday morning after a game, he delivered donuts to our office to share with the coaches, and it was like clockwork and just great memory there. And the last one I'll share is when we're up in the coach's box, some of our rowdy fans, as we do well on the field, tapping on the window, giving us a thumbs up that we're doing well. And we were well aware we were doing well, but for them to be excited and share that with us, those were just great memories. And this is something that's really a special place. All of our coaches, present and past, have a special connection with Memorial Stadium. We asked some of our former head coaches to share their stories. Here they are with their memories.
Think of home. I mean, that's, Memorial Stadium was home for me for a long time.
It's just a million memories, a million people that I worked with in there every day.
Something about walking into that stadium that felt like you were a part of something bigger than yourselves.
You see the trophies there, the hallway, and there's all the jerseys. Go into the locker room. It was just an honor to be a part of that.
Just every day in there, and just coming out, the games were there, and coming out the music, the smells. I mean, it was the old stadium. It was our place.
The thing that was just wonderful about Memorial Stadium was the grass. The groundskeepers just did an incredible job.
And I think the games, there's probably two or three that easily come to mind. One is the one that I thought really helped turn around our program, where we beat the Bison 1993, where Mike Mooney stole the ball and we won. And there's so many stories that go along with that particular game. The goalpost coming down, and the other goofy thing for me was I was standing there at midfield with Ed Schultz doing a live interview at the end of the game, and everybody tore those goalposts down, and they were coming with the goalposts, and they were coming right at us. And I said stupidly, so excuse me on this, I said, Ed, look out for the dam. I said the word dam on live TV. Look out for the damn goalpost. So when I got home, Drew and Jess, my two kids, they didn't congratulate me on the game or anything. We finally beat the Bison after 10, 12 years, whatever it was. And they said, Dad, you swore on live TV. So I took a lot of heat at home. But,
up in the back hallway, there was a water jug. My youngest went down the hallway, and he's just playing in the water, and water's everywhere. And Coach was like, don't worry. Every kid that has been in this building plays in that and uses that. And I watched it over the years, from Kotelnicki's kids to Breitbach's kids to the nurses. I mean, and everybody did. And I would just chuckle every time they'd go down there and get their little cup and spill it all over everywhere. But that was part of when I said the most important part about it was family. I mean, that's really what it was.
On 79 is when they did the construction internally in Memorial Stadium and added the coaches' offices and in the locker rooms to a limited degree of what it is now. But I remember walking through there and seeing the plywood being put in place, and kind of the construction part of those offices and the locker rooms. And
there was a wall between two rooms, and we said, well, we'll make this the players' lounge. And we took the wall out, and it was the coaches. We knocked it down physically ourselves one summer, and then we realized the floor in the two rooms wasn't at the same level. So there we were one summer jackhammering the floor out so we could make it flat.
whenever we pulled carpet out or put new carpet in, you know who did it? We did it as a staff.
Stadium becomes that kind of symbolic of the place where so many things happen. Even in my own family, my son was on the sideline with me. He was a cord boy with the corded headsets, and he grew up around that.
You know, and the teams that we've had then going back to the 60s and the 70s, you know, those were Division I programs. That's where I think the foundation had been set, and then the current program is continuing to build on that foundation, and it's legitimate. There's a lot to be proud of.
Hi, I'm Bill Chaves, Director of UND Athletics. I want to thank all of our former coaches for sharing their memories of Memorial Stadium. We're thinking about all of you today. In 72 seasons of play, starting in 1927, Memorial Stadium was home to 20 conference championship teams, and UND football teams posted a tremendous 247, 88, and 9 record over those years. We'll always remember all of the amazing memories that this iconic facility provided UND, Grand Forks, and the state of North Dakota. Memorial also hosted many North Dakota State High School track meets, the North Dakota Special Olympics Summer Games, while also hosting the Prairie Rose State Games in 1990 and 1996. As we look forward, it is comforting to know that the grounds that Memorial sits on will be occupied by generations of UND student athletes for years to come. Our heritage will always be commemorated, as today's athletic department could not be what it is without all of the contributions from those who came before us. Thank you to everyone that made Memorial Stadium such a special place in our hearts and minds. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the CEO of the UND Alumni Association and Foundation, Deanna Carlson Zink.
Help the you that is helping you. That was the slogan nearly 100 years ago for the fundraising campaign to build Memorial Stadium. It was, in fact, the very first campaign in the school's 43-year history. The goal was to raise $500,000 from students, faculty, alumni, and Grand Forks business owners in order to build a stadium and gymnasium. The Depression would stall the fundraising effort, but enough was raised to pay for the $200,000 stadium dedicated to UND alumni who died in World War I and to the memory of longtime President Webster Merrifield, who died a decade earlier. Those behind the campaign said the stadium was needed to keep pace with peer institutions in the Midwest. They appealed to student and alumni pride. It is a privilege and an opportunity to show our loyalty and devotion to good old North Dakota, they said. Organizers also sold the concept that a stadium was needed to accommodate thousands of fans turned away from the Spartan field UND had been playing on. When the stadium debuted at the 1927 homecoming game, UND fans did come by the thousands to fill the seats. And they would continue to come on sunny fall Saturdays and snowy, wet, and cold Saturdays as well. Year after year, decade after decade. Through championship seasons and losing campaigns, they came. They came out of a sense of pride and loyalty, to be part of something bigger than themselves, to make memories of game-winning catches and friendships forged while tailgating and sustained through a shared love of UND football. Could those behind the stadium campaign have known just how much their efforts would impact future generations? Could they see the history and traditions and the pride that would come from their achievement. This stadium was so much more than the 392,000 bricks used in its construction. Every football player who donned a UND jersey built upon the foundation of their efforts. Every fan, every coach, every track and field athlete benefited from their vision and built upon their tradition of excellence. In addition to a stadium that gave us decades of happy memories, we owe those behind the campaign a debt of gratitude for another reason. They were the first to see the potential of what could be accomplished when alumni are asked to help support their alma mater and the students who are following in their footsteps on the UND campus. Each student stands on the shoulders of these giants who came before them in order to see a bright future with a UND degree in hand. By asking alumni to support the stadium, they launched a culture of philanthropy that endures to this day. No doubt, those organizers would be pleased to know that donors have given nearly $150 million to the UND Foundation in just the past 2 fiscal years to help the you that helped them. Though Memorial Stadium will come down, that legacy of philanthropy will live on, just like the memories made on the field and in the stands.
Last week, the American flag flew over Memorial Stadium for the last time. We invited a color guard from our Army ROTC Fighting Hawks Battalion to retire the flag. This ceremony is firmly rooted in military history. As our color guard retires the flag, you will hear a bugler playing taps. Taps is typically played to signal the end of the day. It is played alone to honor members who paid the ultimate price. I want to thank the color guard for retiring the colors. Members of the Fighting Hawk Battalion included Cadets Isaac Yatsik, Tristan Severance, Tatiana Svetlanovich, and Chris Devine. Joining us in the studio now is Cadet Devine. He will present the flag that was retired from Memorial Stadium. It will be flown again when Memorial Village is completed. Cadet Devine. Cadet Devine, I accept this flag on behalf of the veterans who served our country and for whom Memorial Stadium was named. Thank you. To preserve the history of Memorial Stadium, 3D imagery of the building was generated. It was a meticulous process that documented every detail from top to bottom. We now have a digital archive that diagrammed the entire building. The cornerstone was removed last week. When it was pried out of the stadium, we discovered a time capsule tucked into a cavity in the stone. Its contents have given us a snapshot in time, dating back to 1927. Next, we'll reveal the items we discovered in the copper box. They are here in our studio, and we'll look at them now. And when I opened the time capsule, I was stunned as though I was looking back in time. The artifacts included copies of the Dakota student newspaper, the Grand Forks Herald, and the Alumni magazine, each dating from that era. We had tickets for the first homecoming game in the stadium, which was held against Creighton University. And there was also included in the time capsule the press release about the stadium and the hard work that went into making this project happen. The artifacts in the time capsule will find a new home in the Elwyn B. Robinson Department of Special Collections at the Chester Fritz Library. The cornerstone and time capsule were put in place during a ceremony on September 21st, 1927. That ceremony began at 3 p.m. This event today also began at 3 p.m. But it was arranged before we knew the time of the original dedication ceremony. It may be a coincidence, but it does connect us to the celebration that was held some 93 years ago. Today, we are about to turn a new page in the history of Memorial Stadium. It will continue to be a place where UND's athletes excel while accomplishing and recording exciting new exploits. New memories will be created that resonate far into the future with our students and our alums. The new facility will emerge to better serve the needs of the university in the 21st century. However, the new facilities will continue to embody the spirit of their original purpose. They will serve as a memorial to honor UND's fallen from World War I. As poet Thomas Campbell wrote, "To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. I pledge to you that those memorialized for their sacrifices long ago will continue to live in our hearts." Thank you for joining us today.